Hello and welcome to a brand new season of the Great Lakes Premier Series. Here we are at Daytona International Speedway, and I'm joined in the booth by Alex. Alex, how we doing tonight?
Doing all right. We're here for another race here at the Daytona International Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't realize that it was Daytona week, it's Daytona week. And here in the Great Lakes Premier Series, we have the Flatout Racing Network 250 here at Daytona. It ought to be a fun one.
It should be a blast. 100 laps, 250 miles around Daytona International Speedway to start off season number 4 of the Great Lakes Premier Series, formerly known as the Great Lakes Cup Series. Revamp for this season, and they also have playoffs this season. Alex, we're really looking forward to that. Let's take a look at the schedule here. Here we are. And next week we go to Phoenix, Atlanta. We got Nashville in there. We have a really good schedule this season. Mid-Ohio, Darlington, Dover, Road America, and then that cutoff race is Pocono. There's going to be a lot of strategy thrown into that last race of the regular season. Then we go to Richmond, Charlotte, Daga, Kansas, Watkins Glen, Iowa. And then we finish off the season at Homestead, a great track to finish off the season. Alex, what are you looking forward to this year?
Ooh, I'm looking forward to see how some of these guys transfer over from these ovals over to those road courses. We got a good number of them this year, and it's definitely going to throw the point standings up for a loop, as a lot of these guys mostly exclusively have experience there at the ovals. And what I find interesting that we have not mentioned yet, unlike last season where it was the Great Lakes Cup Series, it's called the Premier Series this year because we're running the Xfinity Series car here in the series. So this time, drivers are going to have to deal with low downforce, a lot trickier race car to drive, and especially here tonight, we've got a bit of a tricky setup in it. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys handle themselves around this racetrack.
Should be fun, but we're definitely going to be watching out for our drivers from last season that definitely put on a show. And those three being Bransky, Jacob Bransky, that is, Elliott Henderson, and Christopher Heller. Those three drivers really just performed well all season long, and it was a championship battle from beginning to end. Those last couple of races ended up being just Henderson and Bransky. And Jacob Bransky, also known as the Dog, was able to snag that championship away from Elliott Henderson last year, Alex. And that was just a blast to watch. Kind of looking forward to see if we can have a similar battle maybe this season. Now with playoffs, some other drivers might be able to get into the mix.
And that's what I'm expecting to happen this year, especially if, for those of you that watched our All-Star broadcast of this series before the season began, Xfinity cars here at Daytona, I mentioned I had favoritism towards Jacob Bransky. I know him a bit better with these race cars compared to the Cup cars in past, so I imagine him to be one of the strongest contenders here this year, but we're starting off at a weird start as I'm looking at the grid lineup. Jacob Bransky's starting further towards the back of the field tonight. Started off with a bit of a slow qualifying effort, so he'll have to find his way towards the front of the field while championship rivals for him this year are starting towards the mid-pack or towards the front.
A track like Daytona, he could easily get up to the front if that's what he wants to do, or he can hang out at the back if that's what he wants to do. There's so many different strategies you can pull at a track like Daytona or Talladega. You can either try to be at the front all day and dominate the field, or you can hang out at the back all day and then come up in those last couple of laps. We saw it the other night in the truck race.
Yeah, and the trucks are always such a chaotic race to watch around here. They typically have a lot more drag and provide a lot bigger runs, but the difference we're going to see here tonight is guys are going to struggle to get those runs compared to normal. These Xfinity Series cars have a little bit smaller of a spoiler, they're a bit more aerodynamic, and they create a little bit smaller of a wake behind the race car. So these guys trying to make moves and make passes might have to be a little bit more aggressive to try and get those runs, try and make up those positions, and that could be where we see the wrecks.
Let's go through some of our starting lineup for tonight's race. On pole, the number 21 of R.J. Williams, and on his outside of the number 71 machine, starting second is Ty Aiken.
Just behind them, we got the 12 of Zachary Henry, a great qualifier from last season, and Eric Kepth to his outside.
The next row number 3 on the inside in the 5th position, we have Nathan Nicholson. On the outside of the number 25 machine, we have Brandon Barkuski.
Just behind them, we've got William Barbagelata, and alongside him, Jake Miller.
Then rounding out your top 10, we have Phil Bedford on the inside. And then on the outside, subbing for Ashton Lawson, it's Gavin Fitzgerald. We're going to let the rest of the running order run through. They're about to come off turns 3 and 4. We're going to go green flag racing here, Alex. This is going to be a good show here.
Key for these guys, I think, at the beginning of this race is just get in your track position, find your partners out here early, and try and stay up front because those wrecks are going to happen behind the top 5 drivers.
And the green flag is waving here for the Great Lakes FRN 250 to start off Season 4 of the Great Lakes Premier Series. RJ Williams with a great start. Zachary Henry right behind him in the number 12 machine. As Aiken stay up on the high side. We saw it in the truck race the other night that these drivers tend to single file out after a few laps. We'll see if it maybe happens here again.
Outside lane did not get a good start there. The inside lane got going very, very fast. Front 2 drivers, RJ Williams, Zach Henry, paired up together. Well, Ty Aiken had no help, so he's stuck to the outside. But just in front of him now is Nathan Nicholson getting the push from Ty Aiken. He's going to try and contend.
Nathan Nicholson leading that high side in the number 51 machine, driving that 5-gum Camaro. Coming up on the high side, who's going to lead lap number 1 of the season? It looks like it's going to be RJ Williams in the number 21 machine, able to get the job done on lap number 1. But that high side is fighting back. Ty Aiken giving a fantastic push to the number 51 going into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, just watch down here down the back straight. Typically, the outside lane has a massive advantage going down there. They usually have a massive run coming out of turn 2. This is where, if we're going to see a pass for a lead, it's going to happen right here. As Nathan Nicholson, great push from behind. As of right now, he is clear. Let's see if he takes it or stays to the high side. He will take it just narrowly in front of RJ Williams, leaving Ty Aiken to the outside.
That was a very gutsy move from the number 51 machine. You could have put a Sports Illustrated right in between that bumper and the nose right there. A fantastic move from Nicholson. I feel like it's a little early to maybe make that sort of move, but a great move nonetheless. And the 51 hangs on to the lead with RJ Williams right in behind him, and Aiken now leads the high side.
Some drivers in the back are 3 wide, 2 rows deep. Our last year's championship contenders, Elliot Henderson, Jacob Bransky, working together to try and make a 3rd lane up there. Problem is that 3rd lane weakens out all those guys racing side by side and helps the bottom work better as Eric Kepth gets out of the way. But they're looking to make a lane up there. Jake Miller comes up to join them. Let's see if they can get something done with it. But as of right now, it looks like it's just dying out and not working.
Really trying to get that 3rd lane to work. I feel like it's a little too early to get up against the wall right now. They're back to 2 lanes for now. Miller 5th in line right behind Christopher Heller on that high side. You see him on your screen with Elliot Henderson right in behind him. Here's the onboard look from Jake Miller as he tries to maybe steal a win here at Daytona.
Jake Miller known to be one of those aggressive drivers here. We'll see how he does, as he's typically a Truck Series level driver. We didn't see him too much last year run the Cup Series, and now this year we see him running for the Premier Series. Know him very good in the Truck Series, so we'll see how he does here, and we'll see how aggressive he's going to be in these cars.
4 machine up against the wall now. Henderson looking to peek to the middle lane, maybe to get past Miller. Miller's going to get some help up there. Looks like Henderson's going to trying to let him back into line. Miller's still up on the high side. Henderson's now in the middle, and they're 3 wide back there. Barbagelata has jumped right in front of him on the high side. And that inside line's beginning to fall apart here, Alex. Nicholson's beginning to fall back. He doesn't really have very much help. He has RJ Williams right behind him, and then Henry has a big gap behind him, so Henry's unable to help.
Yeah, that outside lane started getting organized. Problem is, just behind them, they're 3 wide, not far, and typically that middle lane really suffers when they start getting 3 wide, but as of right now, 2 cars clear for the lead. Ty Aiken's going to go to the bottom in front of Nicholson.
Great move from Ty Aiken. Ty Aiken will now lead the field while Barkuski Brandon Barkuski now takes the lead on the high side, and Barkuski's going to get a phenomenal run off of the corner, and he's looking to try to lead the lap, getting that push from Gavin Fitzgerald in the number 24 machine, and Barkuski ended up leading that last lap, a phenomenal push from Gavin Fitzgerald in the Giant Tiger machine, replacing Ashton Lawson here tonight.
Yeah, an unfamiliar number there for our 24 of Gavin Fitzgerald, but he's definitely showing up and performing just as well as Ashton Lawson did in that car. And now that he's the leader of the outside lane, we may see him try and fight for the lead. That's typically what you see around here at Daytona. That outside lane starts to get a run. The leader, just to be safe, slots in line on the bottom, and then once again, the outside lane builds up momentum to try and pass him again.
The inside lane is finally getting back together, it seems like, right behind Barkuski. Aiken giving a phenomenal push to Barkuski coming into the tri-oval right there. And Brandon Barkuski able to lead the lap and has a pretty comfortable lead on the inside for now. Can that high side make a comeback on the back straightaway? A fairly calm race for now. There's a couple of stragglers in the back of the pack you see right there. These top 15 cars are kind of under a blanket right now. 2 by 2 by 2.
Yeah, as long as they keep it nice and tidy here, we'll just see consistent side-by-side racing. But the guys right in the middle of that outside lane, Elliot Henderson, Jacob Bransky, they've been testing the waters with that third lane. I would not be surprised to see if they get a little bit impatient and try third lane again. That'll be where we see something happen, that's for sure.
Husky still holding the lead on the inside. Fitzgerald leading the high side. You have to wonder when these drivers will maybe try to get themselves in position for pit stops if we end up having green flag pit stops. Not exactly sure what the window is. I'm thinking the window probably around 25 laps. That would be my guessing.
Yeah, I've noticed particularly so far this week, we've been seeing around 25 to 30 laps in these race cars in terms of the fuel load. So that'll be what these drivers are aiming for. I imagine most of them are going to be around lap 30-ish or so. So we're still a long ways away from that. So as of right now, it's just a matter of trying to get to track position. But once we get closer to that, I've been in the situation where I'm on the outside looking for spots. Everybody starts moving to the bottom, getting ready to pit, and then I'm left alone. So that'll be where we see a lot of guys win and lose in that scenario. Nathan Nicholson got really loose, got up way high, almost into the outside lane, but he recovers. Everybody keeps going.
High side working hard right now. Fitzgerald trying to get to the lead. Heller right in behind him. Barbagelata has been making up spots. He's now third on the high side. He's been making spot after spot these last few laps and just moving his way slowly through the field in the number 27 machine.
Barbagelata definitely one of the more consistent, solid drivers here this season. When he's got speed, you better watch out for him because he'll be up there contending, that's for sure. And he's one of the less likely drivers to wreck the race cars. Just behind him, 3 wide, Jacob Bransky takes it to the outside of Elliot Henderson. He wants a third lane to get going, but so far has no help.
Jacob Bransky trying to get that third lane started, and Heller jumps up to the high side, trying to get on the high side of Gavin Fitzgerald. And now he's going to get the help from Jacob Bransky. They have 2 drivers now up on that high side. Can they get it to work? Does someone else possibly jump up there? Maybe Jordan Gonzalez or someone else behind them jumps up there as well to try to get that third lane going. As it looks like Ty Aiken's going to now fall to the back. And everything is very unorganized coming into 3 and 4. Some craziness possibly.
Ty Aiken falling out of line there destroyed the inside lane and created a ton of chaos. That middle lane had a big run, and then they got disorganized. The drivers are just going left and right looking for track position right now. There is no safety in their minds right at the moment.
And we're getting 3 wide, looking to be 3 deep now because here comes Jake Miller in the number 4 machine on that high side. He's going to join Christopher Heller and Jacob Bransky. That is a fantastic high line there. That's 3 of some of the best Great Lakes drivers right there. Christopher Heller, Jacob Bransky, and Jake Miller on the high side. And here comes Matthew Rodriguez, good old M-Rod, coming up on the high side as well in the 57 machine.
Yeah, Mr. FRN over here making a start here in the Great Lakes Premier Series. He's running to try and get himself a payday here for tonight's race. He's looking to find some track position here at the front of the field.
And Henderson looking to lead the lap in the number 37 car, and he will. The number 37 of Mr. Bobby Carter. and that bright green 37 on the inside. And Christopher Heller to his high side. These are two drivers that might be battling it out for the championship up until the last race. Same thing with the number 23, not too far behind them as well.
Yeah, that outside lane has got a lot of really strong drivers in it, but on the inside, RJ Williams and Elliott Henderson, those are some two fantastic drivers in their own right, and really the thing that gets a lane moving or not are the two drivers leading the field. Every other driver is just a little bit of assistance, but those main two are the ones who determine whether a line gets going or not.
It really seems they're making it work down there, Alex. Number 21 and the number 37, Henderson and Williams, two of some of the best drivers here in Great Lakes as well. We have some all-stars up here at the front right now.
They're definitely flexing their muscles, but watch out. This outside lane's coming. Christopher Heller getting a fantastic push from Bransky, but Bransky goes to the outside. He takes him 3 wide. I thought he was going to push him to the lead, but he's going around him.
And everybody looks like they're going to leave Heller. And here comes Matthew Rodriguez. He's going to jump to the middle lane. Everybody else goes to the high side. Bransky, Miller, Nathan Nicholson, and the high side is completely falling apart.
That absolutely destroyed the middle lane and the outside lane. The inside is almost 4 cars clear right now as Christopher Heller gets recovered by Rodriguez and Nicholson, and Bransky and Miller fall to the back.
Got to reset and come back to the front. After that issue a couple of laps ago where Aiken dropped to the bottom, a lot of drivers backed out, and there's a lot more stragglers than there were before. So it's not a long drive for Bransky and Miller to get back up to the front, as most of the drivers in the pack right now are taking it fairly easy as we're so early on in this event.
Yeah, there's quite a few drivers back there just taking it really, really calm. I mean, Barbara Gelada and Ty Aiken have fallen to the back of this group over here. Some drivers like Hunter Brittle and Daniel Nanny are staying towards the back to get themselves out of trouble. But up front, up here, Jacob Bransky is just relentless. He once again takes it to the third lane trying to look for track position. He does not care about staying in line. He wants to be at the front.
Jacob Bransky, he's trying to lead this whole race. He wants to get up there and get where gets where he's comfortable, and that's leading the race. Jacob Bransky, the dog, coming off of his championship last season in season number 3, and he wants to get up there and lead some laps this year. But Henderson, he's holding the lead for now, but it looks like the third lane is going to try to get going again because Nicholson has jumped up to that third lane, and he's going to bring Bransky with him. And does Miller possibly jump up there? Does Henry jump up there? It looks like Zach Henry wants to jump up there. Let's see what happens here.
My problem is I just think that third lane is kind of a lost cause. These guys can kind of take the risk because just behind Bransky is his teammate and Jake Miller, so he can make these risky moves. But as of right now, it looks like it's working. They're making a massive push to the front. Nicholson leads into 1.
Bransky with a phenomenal push going into 1 and 2, and he's able to push Nicholson to the lead, and Nicholson's going to immediately drop down in front of Heller. And now Bransky's going to lead that third lane. And it's going to be 3 wide for the race lead, coming down the back straightaway with Elliott Henderson on the inside.
Elliott Henderson and RJ Williams have been extremely strong in that inside lane, but now they're 3 wide for the lead, and as long as everybody does some good side drafting, as below them, Gavin Fitzgerald extremely loose on the apron. He's almost spinning out down there.
And he saves it. A good save from Gavin Fitzgerald in the number 24 machine. That giant Tiger Toyota, he's able to handle it. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. I think he might have clipped the apron just a little bit. And once you get a little bit loose, you get a lot of loose.
Yeah, once you clip the apron, especially down there in the corners, these race cars just go completely out of control. As Elliott Henderson makes the move for the lead, he takes the middle lane and goes around Nathan Nicholson.
Yeah, while that was going on, Nicholson jumped from the very high lane all the way to the bottom in front of Elliott Henderson, and Henderson has now retaken the lead from the 51 and has jumped right back in front of him on the inside. A phenomenal move from Elliott Henderson to retake the lead here at Daytona. And Nicholson's trying to jump back out, but he has nowhere to go at the moment with Heller on his outside.
Elliott Henderson has been flexing his muscles so far this race, dominantly leading this field. Whenever he gets put back, he immediately finds his way back to the front of the field. That's a driver you're going to be looking to work with, as Jacob Bransky in the back, I think, got into the wall a little bit.
Bransky slowing down on that high side. Possibly had nicked the wall just a little bit in turns 1 and 2. So far, he's still with the pack. We'll have to keep you updated on that situation with the number 23 of Jacob Bransky. As Henderson and Heller continue to battle up at the front, the 37 and the number 11 right here up at the front.
That outside lane is looking very, very strong once they get organized and stay too wide. It just looks like unless you get a bunch of guys to start going, these guys just make a massive run past that inside lane. But as I've just been reminded over our radios here, we almost forgot. There's a stage break at lap 20. At the conclusion of lap 20, caution will come out as a competition caution. So these drivers are racing to that caution right now.
Trying to set themselves up for that stage break at the end of lap number 20. Henderson leading the field on the inside, and Nicholson, he's getting that push from Heller now. We've seen Nicholson make some crazy moves already. If he's able to get up there and clear Henderson, I think he's going to jump down to that inside. Does he get a good push from Heller?
All right, we're on the final lap of this first stage. We're looking to get it to the end of lap 20, no wrecks. Looks like Elliott Henderson right now will lead the field, but we'll have to see what that outside lane does. Christopher Heller giving a fantastic push up there. Can Nicholson take the lead at the line? No, he won't. Heller to the outside.
And they're going to start up that third lane. Here comes Christopher Heller on the very high side, the number 11 machine, your Season 2 champion. Christopher Heller, does he get the push out of 3 and 4? It looks like Henderson is going to get the first stage, but here comes Williams. RJ Williams on the high side with a phenomenal run off the corner. Is he able to squeeze him and get the spot? No. Elliott Henderson gets the stage, and everybody looks like they're able to keep it clean, so that's a good thing as well, being very early on in this race.
And notably, in third position there, Daniel Nanny, who I mentioned, was hanging out in the back, found his way to find a lot of positions up at the end and find his way into third at the time of this caution.
And Daniel Nanny just proving how quickly he can get to the front, because just around 3-4 laps ago, Daniel Nanny was in the back of this pack, and he moved his way all the way up to the top 5, top 3 all the way up to the third position. Daniel Nanny, great job from him, able to get third in that stage right there. Now we're on to the stage break, and I'm expecting some pit stops here. Some drivers to top off fuel and possibly get some tires. And maybe Bransky repair whatever damage he may have on that number 23 machine.
Yeah, I'm thinking these drivers are, if this manages to stay green, which we're here at Daytona, it's unlikely, but there's always that chance. These drivers are going to have to make at least, I believe, 3 pit stops to comfortably make it to the end of the race. So that's going to be something these drivers are going to have to watch out for. This caution kind of comes out at a little bit of an awkward time for a lot of these drivers. But I do want to point out a couple notable names that finished pretty decently at the time of this caution. Of course, I mentioned just before, Daniel Nanny finding his way into third position. Matthew Rodriguez from dead last on the grid finds his way into 5th. And Aaron Duclos, who really was not even mentioned at the beginning of this race, has found his way into the 8th position at the end of the stage. So these drivers who advanced a lot of spots from their initial starting position are going to be in a pretty decent spot heading into this next green flag portion of the race. It's just going to be a matter of, can they stay clean and keep it green and make that track position matter?
I feel like that's the biggest thing right there, Alex. Do these drivers keep it clean and go green possibly once we go back racing? Or does it possibly cautions breed cautions? I know this wasn't a wreck involved caution, but it's still caution. It gangs everybody right back up. Here comes everybody down into their pit box. It looked like Nanny overshot his box to the number 45 machine, it looked like. Everybody else looks like they got in their box okay.
I also saw Rodriguez in the back also overshoot his pit box. That's another thing we should mention, is that these cars, especially after a green flag run, the tires are hot, they're worn down a little bit. It's hard to get down to that pit box. Reminder, the pit lane speed is 60 miles per hour. That is your highway speed these drivers are heading at just going down the pit lane. So slowing down from 60 mile an hour to 0 as quickly as possible is a lot trickier than you would think it would be.
You know, like you mentioned, Alex, especially on those really, really hot tires, just makes everything a lot more difficult at the end of a run. We're going to see these guys go at it once again. Just under 80 laps to go here in the season opener, the Great Lakes FRN 250 here at Daytona International to start off the season.
You know, looking here at the current race lineup, I must have cursed all the people I mentioned because every single one of them lost massive track position over those pit stops. Daniel Nanny went from 3rd all the way down to 8th. Matthew Rodriguez fell from 5th to 13th, and Aaron Duclos with a fall of 12 positions down to the 20th spot. I think I must have cursed him, Kyle.
I feel like Aaron Duclos might have been intentional. He might have went to the back. He's been hanging out at the back pretty much the whole event so far, Aaron Duclos. I'm just wondering what some of these drivers what might do now that we've gotten past the stage break. Does everybody really take it easy from this point forward? Or does everybody start going hard and trying to position themselves for a possible green flag pit stop if we're able to keep it green?
Yeah, I think typically as a driver, when you know that a caution is coming, especially the closer and closer it gets, you just seem to race harder even if it doesn't really mean anything. You feel that the ability to pit further up the grid at the time of that caution is such a massive advantage, as typically your pit stop's a lot cleaner, you're not around as many cars, you don't have to worry about your pit entry and pit exit nearly as much. So these drivers race really hard to get to those cautions, even if there's no points awarded and even if it doesn't really affect your fuel strategy that much.
Half a lap from green flag racing here. Lights are out on the pace car. RJ Williams will lead him to the green flag. He's decided to pick the inside lane. Nathan Nicholson in the number 51 on the high side. Then behind the number 21, pushing him is Elliot Henderson in the 37. On the high side, following the 51, is Jake Miller. We're going to see what happens here on the restart. See if we can maybe get some green flag racing here, or like I said, just cautions breed cautions. So these guys begin to get a little crazy and a little aggressive with one another. Still very early on in the event, approaching the quarter-way mark. As the pace car pulls down pit road, RJ Williams leads him to the green flag. A great restart from the number 21 machine, but this is not quite the place you want to have a great restart because everybody else is going to draft up to them.
Yeah, fantastic launch by that inside lane. RJ Williams and Elliot Henderson pull out a massive gap over the rest of the field. Nathan Nicholson is able to fall in line because of that gap. I wonder if that was some team collaboration or something over there, because they were able to pull out such a huge gap over the field and are keeping their position up there.
It looks like Nicholson is going to fall back. The number 51 machine as Henderson's trying to get back to the lead as he jumps to the high side.
He jumps in front of his teammate there and Jake Miller. That's going to be some great support behind him. We'll see if he can make a run to the outside. That's what we've seen so far this race, is that whenever a driver jumps to the outside, they're able to get a massive run on the leader. The problem is when you're that second place car, you leave the car behind to start pushing the guy on the inside, and typically that car hasn't been pushing as hard and doesn't have the temperature. The temperature is what allows you to push in these cars and allows the move that we're seeing right now for Elliot Henderson to jump to the front of the field.
Henderson taking the lead on the high side of the number 37 machine with the push from Jake Miller. The number 4, Zachary Henry, right in behind them as well in the number 12 machine, and that inside's beginning to fall apart a little bit. There's some gaps down there, and RJ Williams is beginning to fall back. Henderson is now clear of Williams. Does he stay on the high side with Miller? He will not. He'll jump down in front of RJ Williams. Now Jake Miller leads the high side.
All right. Let us see how this works out for Elliott. Now, his teammate is the one on the outside of him, but from what I understand is that once they start racing for the lead, it seems to be the teammates in this league don't really seem to matter anymore, and the drivers just race really hard. There isn't colleague-level cooperation as we're seeing Jake Miller now go for the lead. He will likely jump in front of Elliott heading into turn 3, and as we see him get put to the outside, ooh, just about... almost got past there by Zachary Henry. Luckily was able to stay in line, but that allows the inside lane to come back.
Just some back and forth right now between the inside and the high side. Miller leading the high side. Henderson down low. Barkowski third in line on that inside, but there's a huge gap behind him to Daniel Nanny. Henry was giving a phenomenal push to Miller going into 1 and 2. Miller looked to even get a little bit loose going into the corner, but he's able to gather it up, and they're going to continue on the high side. And here comes Miller down the back straightaway trying to get that run.
Yeah, they're regathering themselves, looking to get the run going again. As they head into turn 3, Miller takes a bit of a left, gets a little bit loose, I saw, almost down to the inside lane. He keeps it going straight, but that was something that we've not seen so far, as a driver make a move into the corner and get a little bit loose.
Gathered it up, so great job from Miller, and he still leads the high side. I'm looking at the back of the pack right now too. There's not as many stragglers as there was before. There's only a couple of guys I see back there just hanging out. A lot more drivers up here willing to battle at this point in the race, as we're around a third of the way through the season opener here at Daytona. And Jake Miller taking the lead on the back straightaway here. If he's able to get clear of Henderson, does he jump down? He's looking to right there, but he's not quite clear.
You could see Zachary Henry itching to go to the outside, waiting for Jake Miller to take that position there on the bottom. That's typically what you see. But sometimes, if you can trust the guy behind you, it might be more efficient to just stay in the high lane, as that's typically the lane that's a little bit quicker over a run. However, unlike what we would see in real life, is that these drivers are not willing to just stay calm and stay and hold their spots, especially since the driver behind him, I don't believe, is a teammate to them. So Jake Miller is putting a lot of trust in Zachary Henry to keep pushing him.
Henry's giving a good push here on the back straightaway as well. The high side fell a little bit back through turns 1 and 2. You keep in mind also, right behind Henry, he has his 2 teammates from 2511. You have Henry on the high side, and then right behind him you have Christopher Heller and Jordan Gonzalez. So you have 3 2511 drivers lined up right in behind Miller. So if Henry jumps up to that third lane, I bet Heller and Gonzalez will follow him.
As we're seeing a bit in the mid-pack, Ty Aikens coming back through the field. He puts the 3-car of Jordan B. Gonzalez 3 wide to the outside, pretty much leaves him out to dry, but pinches him right up against the wall, almost pushes him into the wall there. I think he may have nicked it a little bit, but as we see at the front, Zachary Henry's had enough and is going to the outside of Jake Miller, leaves him in the middle lane with Christopher Heller to help.
And a phenomenal run, and are they both able to get clear? Henry's able to get clear, but Heller is not. And Heller is now going to fall back as Henry now leads the high side. Zachary Henry leads the high side now. Does Miller try to jump out now with Ty Aiken right in behind him?
Well, now the positions have flip-flopped. Now Zachary Henry leads the outside lane with Jake Miller behind. It'll be interesting to see if Jake Miller is willing to stay as committed as he was hoping for with Zachary Henry to do, or will he take it to the third lane down the back straightaway?
Watching this front of the field, and the one constant has been Elliott Henderson on that bottom lane. Henderson's just been getting a consistent push from the number 21 of RJ Williams. Elliott Henderson been the head of the field for most of this race so far. A strong day from Mr. Bobby Carter, who's had a pretty good week so far here on iRacing at Daytona. I think he won his Road to Pro split the other night, and he won the truck race here the other night as well.
Yeah, I'd say he's had quite a night here at Daytona for sure. This whole week has been great for him, and in this race tonight, he looks to be one of the dominant drivers of the field, so he's keeping that momentum going here at Daytona. He's got the kind of luck that I wish I had here at Daytona, but I might have to learn a thing or two from him.
Henry's now taking the lead on that bottom lane. He was able to get clear of Elliott Henderson, and he jumped down right in front of him. And now you have Zachary Henry versus Jake Miller, and Miller getting a phenomenal push from Ty Aiken. We've seen Ty Aiken at the front a couple of times, and he just seems like one of the best drivers at being able to push. He just really knows how to push somebody. That number 71 machine of Ty Aiken, and he has Jacob Bransky, right in behind him. What does Bransky do? I know Jacob Bransky wants to get up there and lead some laps. We saw him earlier trying to make moves to the front.
Yeah, Bransky found his way up front, but another driver I'm looking at now, currently the fourth car on the inside, Aaron Duclos, is back at the front of the field after what must have been a completely terrible pit stop on pit road, whether there have been a mistake or not. He's found his way back at the front. You said he might have been wanting to stay at the back and stay safe, but he's back up here as Elliott Henderson makes a move for the lead on the outside.
There goes Henderson jumping in front of his teammate of Jake Miller to the high side. You have four teammates lined up right there on the high side. You have Henderson, you have Miller, you have Aiken, and you have the number 23 of Bransky all lined up on that high side with Barkuski right in behind them.
If we were ever to see teammates collaborate and try and dominate a field, it would be right here, right now. Four drivers from the same organization lined up in a row on the outside, but they're not making progress right at the moment. This inside lane has been very strong, and as Aaron Duclos dives out of line and falls to the back, we'll see what they're able to do now that that inside lane has been hurt.
Inside lane has been hurt a little bit, and Williams almost loses it on the bottom lane. He hit the apron like Gavin Fitzgerald did, and there goes Nanny. He almost loses it as well. That apron is killer. We saw Gavin Fitzgerald hit it not too long ago, and he almost spun it. And you saw the same thing there from RJ Williams and Daniel Nanny as they both hit the apron and got completely sideways.
I also saw further in the back Chris J. White get into the wall just in front of Matthew Rodriguez as well. So that was just absolute calamity following that mess from RJ Williams. But everybody manages to keep it going. All that does is disorganize the pack some and leave those E95 Esports drivers out there at the front of the field.
There's an onboard of RJ Williams as he works the wheel, making that save up at the front, and that just threw a lot of chaos into this whole entire field, and there's a lot of separation now. It's almost two packs at this point, but they're pretty close, so I expect them all to become one big pack pretty quickly. That definitely threw a monkey wrench into the field and probably freaked a couple of these drivers out.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers were lucky to have just survived that wreck, because a lot of them looked sideways or in the wall, what have you, but we keep it going. There's now only 9 drivers, actually about 13 drivers here at the front pack of the field, and then a second pack following them just about a second off. We'll see if they can find their way back connected to this lead pack or not. As of right now, 13 drivers aiming for this lead.
And when I was looking at it, I just looked back really quickly, but I was looking at Gavin Fitzgerald's car, and Gavin has a good amount of bumper damage on his number 24 machine, and it looks like Jordan Gonzalez might have gotten into the bumper when that almost accident happened. So definitely a close call from there. A little bit of damage to Gavin Fitzgerald's bumper, and I think Jordan is okay in the number 3 machine. I don't see too much damage. I don't see any damage actually on the nose of his machine. The narrow miss for some of those drivers as we have a battle at the front now with Henderson and Aiken as the two packs have came back together here, and Henderson leads the high side with a phenomenal push from Jake Miller going into 3 and 4.
Yeah, Elliott Henderson, Jake Miller have been extremely strong together, but I mean, it's impossible to say that it's all been everybody behind him, because no matter who's behind him, Elliott Henderson has been here at the front of the field. I'm not sure if everybody's just trusting him or if he knows how to lead a pack, but he's doing a fantastic job of doing it right now, staying out front that entire time. But as you mentioned earlier with the damage on Gavin Fitzgerald, I've noticed since iRacing made some changes here to the draft model of these race cars, you can have a little bit of damage and keep up with the pack pretty tidy without any issues, unlike you used to in years past. So he might not be in as much trouble as we'd expect him to be.
Fitzgerald just hanging out right now in the bottom lane. He's the 5th driver on the inside in that number 24 machine. Aiken currently leading the inside lane, getting followed by the number 23 of Jacob Bransky. Aiken leading the field as Henderson continues to lead that high side with the push from his teammate Jake Miller. Fairly calm up here at the front for now. 2x2x2. No one's really looking for that third lane at the moment.
Well, I think the third lane is what's going to be needed to break up these guys at the front, because let's not forget, 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 of those drivers are a part of the same team. I don't think they're going to be looking to pass each other. If they could lock out the front of the field, it's going to require some teamwork to make a third lane to the outside if they want to get by them.
They're trying to make it work. These drivers, the inside lanes begin to fall back a little bit. They're still leading the pack, but some of those drivers in the back have fallen back a little bit. Seen Daniel Nanny and Aaron Duclos falling back a little bit on the inside lane. But still, like I said, very calm, fairly calm up here at the front. I think it's been around almost 20 laps since they made their pit stop. So I'm thinking that some of these drivers are trying to get in position for those green flag pit stops.
Now, one thing I am looking out for is that we've said we've got drivers all on the same team at the front of the field, but on the outside lane, where I said that move's going to have to be made in the third lane, you have multiple drivers lined up in a row, also a part of the same team that could make the move. Is I saw RJ Williams there on the bottom once again nick the apron and get a little bit loose.
Good reactions from Gavin Fitzgerald. Gavin Fitzgerald was right behind him, but was very prepared for that one and backed off immediately. RJ able to gather it up fairly quickly. Not as big of a slide as last time. A very little jump in the number 21 machine. But that definitely hurt the inside lane pretty bad as they had fallen back. Now Henderson is trying to take the lead on the high side. If he clears Aiken, does he maybe drop down to the bottom?
Now, luckily, unlike the next-gen cars that we've seen so far on iRacing and in real life, it seems to be 2 cars that are working well enough together, can make enough of a move and hold out for long enough. Now that inside lane's starting to get reorganized again, RJ Williams back up to the back bumper of Jacob Banning, who's also up here. That inside lane's starting to come back, and once again, all those drivers from E95 are once again leading the field pretty dominantly.
E95, formerly known as Split Second Esports, up here at the front, putting on a show right now. This team can't cut out a team like 2511 or Spectrum to get up here in this battle. Look who's up here as well on the inside. We haven't really mentioned him at all, but Jacob Manning, the number 1 machine, he's putting on a good race so far. Here's the onboard look of that black and blue number 1 machine. Jacob Manning putting on a good race so far for him.
Yeah, started down there in the 15th position. Didn't really make a whole lot of progress there in that first 20-lap stint that we had, but now that there's no planned cautions to the end, I assume his mindset is just to get to the front of the field, and he's done it. He's the first car on the inside lane, not a part of that team. So we'll see if anything happens with him, but as of right now, I'd say he's kind of in a box right now.
Manning just kind of waiting for his moment, as everybody kind of is at this point as we're approaching the halfway point in this event. I'm thinking these drivers are probably going to be making those pit stops right around the halfway point. I'm expecting some pit stops here in the next 5 to 10 laps from most of the field. If we don't get a caution for it first, at least.
Yeah, if we're going to see the dominance of the E95 team end, it's going to be at that pit stop, because right now they have 2 on the inside, 2 on the outside. They're going to have to find a way to get all 4 of them to come on the pit lane at the same time. And if that means that they're going to have to drop off the high side and slot in line to be able to do that, that's going to leave the 2511 team just behind them to lead that outside lane and possibly make a move on them. But we'll have to see when they do it, or if they do it and they decide to split up into 2 groups.
These guys are just kind of hogging the front at the moment, the E95 esports drivers. some good strategy from them just to being able to hold the front like they are at this moment. And can someone penetrate their fortress over here? Zachary Henry has been peeking to the high side a little bit, but there's no one really behind him at the moment that's really going to help him. If you get back to Heller and Gonzalez, those are his teammates, but Barkuski playing a little bit of a buffer zone at the moment.
Yeah, and just before we get to the pit stops here, I'd be interested to see if we could get a crank it up here and just listen to these race cars right around this racetrack.
Hello and welcome back here. Saw there on your screen, not much change, just some back and forth action from the inside and the high side. And Henderson's trying to control the field right now. Was on the high side, just jumped down to the inside lane in front of Aiken. There comes Miller on the high side, getting a push from Zachary Henry. Henry giving a great push down the back straightaway. And now Miller's going to jump down in front of his teammate. And now you have 4 25-11 guys just lined up right there. Henry, Barkuski, Heller, and Gonzalez. Here comes Matthew Rodriguez as well, going to follow them up. 5th on the high side. Henry's going to try to get down there and lead the lap, but it looks like Miller's going to hold the lead for now. But Barkuski giving a phenomenal push to Henry coming out of the tri-oval here.
Yeah, it's the two powerhouse organizations of this league, inside and outside, but I think this is the better strat here for the E95 group, is that they've got all 4 cars on the inside lane just before the pit stops start happening. This was exactly what I was talking about earlier in the race, is how are they going to end up doing this? It looks like what they were going to do is get each driver one by one down to the inside lane and try and hold off the rival organization on the outside so that they have to wait that extra lap.
E95 has done a great job of controlling the last 15-20 laps of this race, but we are approaching pit stops here fairly soon here, as we've just passed the halfway mark. Just under 50 laps to go here in the season opener. Great Lakes FRN 250 here at Daytona International Speedway. And Jake Miller leading the field with Elliott Henderson right in behind him.
They're doing a fantastic job of just giving really strong bumps to each other, staying pretty organized. Exactly what you want to see on the inside lane that a lot of the time we don't see in standard racing, but when you got a lot of guys that trust each other in the same group and are solid super speedway racers, it's what you see. That inside lane gets really, really strong. But 2511 come back on the outside. I'm wondering when these guys are going to take the pit stop, because that's going to make everything go crazy.
That's where things are really gonna get crazy. How many groups do these drivers split up into? Do they just stick with their teams possibly? Does everybody possibly come down on one try? I've seen that happen before, where 90% of the pack just comes down that first time. But I expect two different groups to probably come down pit lane, maybe a third group.
Well, we're starting to see drivers move their way down to the bottom. Haven't heard any calls to come to pit road yet. We may see it in their personal voice channel, but I imagine we're going to be hearing some driver call over the radio that they're going to come to the pit lane, and when we do, we're going to have to see how many follow them.
It's been 31 laps since these drivers went down pit lane. Miller and Henry now going back and forth on the inside and the high side. A lot of those drivers on the high side have now dropped down to the bottom. It's pretty much a single file lane, except for these 4 2511 guys on the high side. Looks like Matthew Rodriguez is also on the high side back there. I can't tell who that is back there on the high side, way back there. But these 2511 guys are sticking together. As I'm hearing on the radio that sounds like Jake Miller is going to come down pit road this time by. And here comes E95 Esports. And they're all going to come on their own. A couple other drivers join them, and Miller locks them up, and so does Aiken. And the number 61 spinning into Bransky. Bransky almost into the inside wall. Wow. Very close call. Look at the 61 of Chris White getting into Bransky, and then Bransky overshoots his pit box as well.
Yeah, that was extremely unfortunate for Bransky. The absolute miss by Chris White on the pit entry to overshoot, lock it up, and then spin down into Bransky. We'll have to see if that provides him with a lot of damage, but that's going to separate him up from his group of guys, especially since they came in such a small pack. But I'm hearing that Barkuski and these 2511 guys are coming in now, so now they're coming in the next lap, and this pack is much bigger with this. Oh, a lot of lockup. Oh, Matthew Rodriguez wrecks the field coming into the pit lane. 4 or 5 cars involved. Massive wreck on the pit entry.
Yeah, Rodriguez locks it up on the bottom, and there goes Manning into the inside grass. I saw Zachary Henry, a lot of wrecked race cars here, and I'm expecting a lot of black flags. Also from that first set of stops as well, I expect some black flags. Wow. Craziness. Complete craziness. They were around 5 or 6 wide heading into pit road right there, and Matthew Rodriguez looked like he locked it up on the inside, and a lot of cars got taken out here. You see Rodriguez on the inside. You see the smoke right there. You see him come across the screen and just take a whole lot of them out right there in one foul swoop, the number 57. Then everybody tries to gather it up. A lot of drivers driving through pit boxes at that point, going 3 wide down pit road. Just complete insanity here on green flag pit stops, and that's what could possibly happen with green flag stops.
Yeah, it just looks like he got a little bit late on the brakes, and when he realized he was going too fast, hit it a little bit too hard and locked him up, and then knocked the inside wall just for good measure and shot him up into all the field pitting alongside him. So it's just a miss on the brakes there for Rodriguez, but that's going to be massive consequences for most of the field there, as that was the front of that pack pitting there. And so absolutely genius for the E95 drivers to pit when they did, because they stayed out of all of that trouble.
E95 was able to avoid most of the madness, it seemed like. For now, it seems like everything's okay with the E95 guys. I don't see any black flags from the E95 drivers. But it looked like Hunter Brittle had gotten a black flag. Matthew Rodriguez may have gotten a black flag. Jordan Gonzalez. But most of these drivers were able to keep it clean for the most part. Here you see Henderson and Miller up here.
Now, the irony in all of this is because literally all of them got into that same accident, they're still tightened up together in a pack. So while some of them have some pretty significant damage, they're all together in a pack and I believe are running faster lap times than the two-car tandem of Henderson and Miller up at the front.
Yeah, they should be up to Henderson and Miller in the next couple of laps. That last time by, it looked like that Henderson and Miller both ran around 4/10 slower than that group of drivers behind them. So these drivers should be able to catch up to them within the next 5 to 10 laps and everybody be all together again for the most part. They definitely lost a couple of drivers along the way though.
We'll have to see what happens when they approach this small group of cars. They've picked up Phil Bedford into this front pack, but you need at least 4 cars to get going because they're catching them very, very fast. Hunter Brittle's trying to hook on, but he's a lap down. I think RJ Williams may be your leader when they come around. It's just going to be a matter of will Elliott, Miller, and Bedford be able to hook on to the back of this pack when they get going.
Henderson leading the field. Miller right behind him. Bedford is tagged on to that 3rd spot right there behind them. I see looks like Hunter Brittle right in behind them right there in that 4th spot. He is a lap down. He is not on the lead lap in the number 10 machine, currently in the lucky dog position if a caution would to come out. Looking at the onboard of RJ Williams, currently in 4th spot as he's currently driving up on Hunter Brittle. They're going to go to the high side, it looks like, getting followed by Brandon Barkuski in the number 25 machine.
Yeah, weirdly enough, it's a bit of a 2-car breakaway. They kind of separated from their own pack and pulled up on Henderson and Miller there and are making the move single-handedly on the outside. This is a absolutely astonishing maneuver I'm seeing from them because as far as I'm aware, a couple of them there have damage from that wreck.
Well, they're making the tandem work. They're going to dance right on up to the front. Here comes Brandon Barkuski and RJ Williams. And RJ Williams looking to lead the lap in the number 21 machine. Going back and forth right here. Now we have 8 drivers underneath the blanket right here. One of those being the lap car of Brittle. And we have 7 lead lap cars here battling it out. Around a second back from these guys, you have more drivers.
Yeah, would you believe that after the chaos that was those couple sets of pit stops for some of these drivers, the field is as close as it is? I mean, the whole field, other than a few cars scrambling apart, is pretty much right where they were just before the pit stops. Even though we saw a massive accident in one, we saw drivers miss their pit stalls in the other.
I feel like the reason we see all these drivers together because the chaos that had happened with Matthew Rodriguez, it really slowed down everybody. It slowed down everybody in that pack. So they just got into that big pack once again and was able to drive down Miller and Henderson.
Yeah, and a couple drivers I thought would have been out of the race given their terrible pit stops and how few drivers were coming in with them was Bransky and Ty Aiken, who both overshot their pit stalls and missed it and fell out of touch with their 2 teammates. But because of that wreck on the pit lane, they've actually connected to the pack and are catching up to this lead pack. We could see them back fighting at the front again. And as of right now, we see the racing. It's just a matter of what'll happen when they get up there.
This is the part of the race you really need to pay attention to because watching Great Lakes, whether it's the Premier Series or the Truck Series last year, cautions breed cautions, especially in the second half of these races. There's just under 40 laps to go here in the season opener. Best believe if there's a caution that comes out right now, it's going to be craziness from here on out.
Yeah, so looking at when they pit, over that last stint. It was about 32 to 33 laps until they had to pit again. So we're going to see these drivers come in at around lap 87, 88, which is going to leave about 20 laps to the end. Now, the interesting about that is there is a strategy to be had of, with how few laps are left, actually short fueling it a little bit to try and get a faster pit stop, exit the lane with a big pit lane with a bigger gap. And we may see that with some of the bigger teams working together to try and see if they could gap the rest of the field.
That would be a great move from either E95 or 2511 or one of these teams that is out here on the racetrack here tonight to pull that move. That could be a great move there, Alex. That could be a winning move.
Yeah, and let's not forget as well, we haven't mentioned this other group as well, but they're also a 4-car group here in this race. Is Spectrum Racing, RJ Williams, and as of right now, as a stand-in, Gavin Fitzgerald, a part of the team. Those two are on the outside at the front, but the reason why we haven't been able to talk about them as much is their two teammates, Barbara Gelada and Eric Kepf, are further in the back of the field, kind of taking the more conservative strategy. So while we see the big organization of those other teams racing at the front of the field, that group is still a big group, and if we see them get together, we could see them pull that same strategy as we just mentioned themselves.
Now Henderson's still holding the lead on the inside line. You see getting followed by Barkuski. Barkuski's been really good at pushing as well in that number 25 machine. Henderson just seems like he's really good at leading, Alex.
Yeah, Henderson just seems to know when the momentum is coming, what time to move up into the lanes, and just manages to get clear of everything. Now, as something we should mention is that because of that incident and the weird way that Ireson counts black flag cautions on during that pit stop wreck, I'm sure we had a lot of drivers get their black flags cleared in that incident. Otherwise, as we see a wreck at the front of the field, Gavin Fitzgerald, Brandon Burkowski, huge wreck.
Manning. Oh, wow. Car is airborne. A lot of mangled race cars after that one. Like that was Nick Martin that went end over end. The number 42 machine. A very nasty accident for him. Wow. Looked like when I first saw it that might have been contact between, I think it looked like Gavin Fitzgerald and somebody else got together. It looked like, I think it might have been Brandon Barkuski. Got a little bit into each other. We're going to try to get the replay here for you of the incident right there that just brought out this caution flag here right before lap 70. Here we are. It looks like Barkuski and Gavin, Barkuski came up a little bit and Gavin came down a little bit, and they just kind of were going for the same space almost right there and just barely touched, like the smallest touch, just enough to kind of push them both sideways and just left the whole entire field with nowhere to go. And a lot of good race cars caught up in that. Jake Miller got caught up in it. Like I said, Nick Martin went end over end. He had a heavy accident. I think Hunter Brittle was involved. We're going to take another look at it here. Yeah, Manning took a big hit as well in the number 1 machine. There you see Nick Martin flipping down the corner as well. A very heavy accident for him. And wow, there's the big one, Alex.
And a couple notable drivers that managed to miss that incident is unbelievably Ty Aiken and Jacob Bransky, a part of that dominant group. So while they've lost Jake Miller, they brought 2 of their own drivers up through the field. As we're watching Nick Martin's point of view, my gosh, that is a view you do not want to see while inside of a race car.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to see that view inside of a race car. Maybe a roller coaster, but not a race car.
Well, I would not want to be on that kind of roller coaster, because that kind of roller coaster is one that hurts.
Now this makes it a little interesting here, Alex, because the placement of this caution puts him right at the edge of the pit window. There's currently 34 laps to go, and I see all the leaders coming down pit road right now. This makes it really interesting when it comes to strategy. So if all these drivers coming down pit road, I expect some to maybe come in and top off on the next lap, but these drivers should be good to the finish, or at least very, very close on fuel from here.
Yeah, the drivers we have to worry about are the drivers at the front of the field. Remember, I said it was about 32, 33 laps. The guys who went 33 laps were mostly behind the leaders, lifting off the throttle a little bit, maintaining their gaps and saving some fuel. But the guys out front, that E95 group who have been adamant on leading the field, only went about 32 laps before they had to pit in. Now, their advantage is that the time they went green was about lap 25, and then they went all the way to lap 55. So that's about 30 laps. Now, when we go green here, it's going to be about lap 69 going on to 70. So we're going to see that same exact lap counter, I believe. Unless if we're going too wide now. It looks like we're going too wide now. So yeah, we're going to be going green, going on to lap 70. So these drivers are going to have the same amount of time to make it to the end of the race, but it is going to be extremely tight because we get one green-white checkered, and I imagine those guys are going to run out of fuel.
Yeah, if we get a green-white checker, that really means that a lot of these drivers that just stayed out are going to have to come in and top off. I saw a good amount of drivers come in and top off their fuel as well here. Gavin Fitzgerald. Looks like he's one of them. I got Duclos over here, and Duclos looks like Daniel Nanny, Zachary, Henry. A couple of drivers coming in there to top off on fuel because they know how close it's going to be here. Henderson's going to lead him down to the green flag, it looks like, once again, as we're just under half a lap from green.
Yeah, it's the irony in those guys wrecking is that because they're now in the back, some of them who got somewhat minimal damage compared to some others might almost be at a strategical advantage if this goes green all the way to the finish, or if we get a wreck right at the end of the race, because they're going to have that extra little lap of fuel just trying to repair their race car. They're going to be able to make it all the way, unlike drivers like Elliott Henderson, RJ Williams, Nicholson, and Bransky up here at the front of the field.
You know, they come off 3 and 4. The pace car is going to come down pit road, and Henderson will lead them to the green flag. Do cautions breed cautions here? We have just over 30 laps to go here in the season opener. Does everyone get a little gutsy? And a lot of these drivers can probably make it to the finish from this point.
Now we've got a bit of a different cast of characters just behind these leaders now. Got Phil Bedford, who was good on that pit stop, found his way up there, but one driver we haven't even talked about at all this event is Richard Tucker there in the 59. He's inside the top 10 now. Almost everybody seems to move to the bottom. Doesn't look like anyone wants to be on that outside lane.
You haven't mentioned Richard Tucker all day. He's been hanging out as one of those stragglers in the back the whole race. Usually been the very last guy in the line, just taking it easy, making sure he doesn't get involved in any accidents and that he's there for the end of the race. And here we are, about to head to the last quarter of the race, the last 25% of this event. And here he is up here into the top 10. So good job for him. And yeah, you mentioned it a second ago, Alex, everybody just seems like they want to get to the bottom. And that's what it looks like. Everybody's still trying to get to the bottom. Everyone maybe wants to take it easy for now. Maybe change up the message that they sent last year, and maybe read cautions doesn't happen this year. Maybe they've learned.
Yeah, and something I'm watching out for right at the moment, if you look at who is there on the inside lane, Ty Aiken, Jacob Bransky, after missing that wrecker up here at the front of the field just behind their teammate Elliott Henderson, with one car wedged in the middle of them in Nathan Nicholson. Nicholson's kind of in a box right now. If he goes to the high side, it's very unlikely that the drivers behind him will go with him. So he's either forced to stay there in the bottom or hope somebody from behind makes a move on the outside to allow him to get that track position. Otherwise, he's just stuck there acting like a pseudo teammate to these guys, knowing that no matter what he does, he's not getting help.
And Nicholson only having the one teammate in the field, that being Hunter Brittle. And Hunter Brittle is currently a lap down in the number 10 machine. And Nicholson races for Dark Horse Motorsports, which is one of the powerhouse teams of the Truck Series. But here in the Premier Series, they only have the 2 drivers out there today. So Nicholson needs to find the help where he can get it. And you see RJ Williams on that high side. Maybe Nicholson tries to jump in behind Williams as the high side is trying to get going. And Williams doing a phenomenal job just side drafting the 37 there, going into 1 and 2. And now here comes the number 20, Philip Bedford.
RJ Williams, almost entirely on his own for the most part, ran his way to the front of the field. I mean, that was extremely shocking for me. Normally, that's borderline impossible to do, but somehow he found his way to the front, and now he's trying to pass for the lead.
Williams going for the lead on the high side of Elliott Henderson. Number 21 and the 37 going back and forth, inside and high side. Everyone trying to set themselves up for the end of this race. I don't see any stragglers at this point. Everybody is 2 by 2 by 2, all gathered up here.
And that outside lane is making a move. RJ Williams looks to be just about clear of Elliott Henderson. Will definitely be clear going down this back straightaway. But will he go down in front of him? I imagine he probably will. But it's a matter of what position is better for you to be in. Will you be able to find your way back up to the outside to pass for the lead? But right now, he looks to be committed to that outside lane.
You know, RJ found some speed on that high side, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's going to stick up on that high side for now with Bedford. Is Bedford right in behind him, and then here comes Gonzalez and Fitzgerald. Here comes Eric Kepf, Mr. Pink. He's been quiet most of the day. He can get the job done. He was last year's winner here. He was last season 3. In season 3, he was the winner here at Daytona. So let's see if he can get the job done in the number 63 machine as he has entered the top 10. He's the 3rd driver on that high side right now.
Now, an update at the front of the field. Phil Bedford and Gonzalez have moved their way to the bottom. They had such a massive run on the outside that they've been able to clear Henderson and make their way to lead the bottom lane. But look who's up there. Gavin Fitzgerald recovers after that wreck. Damage must not have been that big as he's second in line on the outside.
Hey, Gavin Fitzgerald, he's been to hell and back so far in this race. That almost accident where RJ Williams almost self-spun on the inside. Fitzgerald had to get on the brakes, and he got somebody in his bumper. Later on in the race, he almost self-spun himself at one point, and then he was just involved in that accident right there. And he's up here in the top 5, still trying to compete for a victory here tonight.
And something that's important to mention here, those 3 drivers on the outside, all a part of Spectrum. I mentioned before, Eric Kepf was racing towards the back of the field and wasn't really up there with his teammates, but now they've got 3 out of their 4 up there, and with the incidents that broke up some of the field, they actually have the strongest pairing up here at the front, and likely will be the drivers to dominate this later half of the race unless we get a caution, because right now E95 is a little bit split up. 2511 is almost nowhere to be seen after a lot of their drivers had gotten into that incident, so they're completely split up. And no other organization seems to have the kind of cooperation that we expect.
Yeah, 2511 and E95 have both kind of been split up by some of these other drivers in the field. Spectrum seem to be kind of taking over here late. 3 Spectrum guys up on the high side. We're close to 20 laps to go here at Daytona International. RJ Williams leading the field on that high side. Bedford leading the inside, followed by Gonzalez. There's a couple of 2511 guys up here. They just really need to all get together. You have Bedford and Gonzalez up here. You have Zachary Henry on the high side. Maybe try to get down there with his teammates. We can have a Spectrum versus 2511 battle right here.
Oh, driver I just noticed found their way back up into this lead battle is Matthew Rodriguez, the driver who missed his pit lane entry, went in too quick and caused that initial massive incident. somehow does not have a destroyed race car and is racing up here at the front of the field, 5th driver in the outside lane. There is a chance he could manage to win this race even after everything that's gone wrong tonight.
You mentioned it, Alex. With the iRacing updates, you're able really just to keep in the draft a lot better, even with all this damage, because we haven't had a driver exit the race because of damage yet, except for Nick Martin, who went end over end. Other than Nick Martin, all these other drivers have kept in the race, and they're up here in the front pack. Every single one of them, even our 2 lap cars of Chris White and Hunter Brittle, who are currently battling it out for that lucky dog spot right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, at the time of that caution, Hunter Brittle was not able to get the lucky dog spot, so he's still stuck a lap down and currently battling for the spot with Chris White. But at the front of the field, it seems to be a deadlock. That outside lane seems to get a bit of a run, pulls out a little bit ahead, but because they're teammates, they don't want to drag their way to the bottom, and then that bottom lane comes back and lines up side by side with them again.
RJ looking to jump to the inside, or does he stick with Gavin Fitzgerald? He thought about it and then jumps right back in front of Fitzgerald at the last moment. Good move from Fitzgerald, able to not get into the back of him. That was a close call off turns 1 and 2. Williams still leads the field. Gonzalez giving a phenomenal push to Bedford going into 3 and 4, but they separated themselves from Henry.
Yeah, once again, that bottom lane comes back, fights for that lead position, but as we see them go down into turn 1 and down the back straight, that outside lane is going to pull back out again. It's this constant cycle between these 2 lines. None of them seems to fully win out. It seems to be an almost deadlock between them. And you know what driver is looking to find his way back up at the front of the field is Elliott Henderson. And I'm looking at that driver because I know he's going to be the one to make the move. Wreck at the front. RJ Williams sideways. Elliott Henderson goes low. Driver all the way. Phil Bedford into the inside wall almost. He's doing jumps to the inside grass. But no caution. We keep it going green.
Yeah, the incident was off of the racetrack. Bedford went way off and no one else was really involved. But it did separate the pack a little bit. And now Fitzgerald and Gonzalez are at the front of the pack. Gonzalez leading the high side. Here comes Matthew Rodriguez. Rodriguez is up here in second place now. He is making moves.
Yeah, he managed to avoid that incident, and with Gonzalez now leads the inside lane. That outside lane's going to struggle. Gavin Fitzgerald has got some pretty decent damage on the race car. While I mentioned the damage doesn't affect you while holding on to a pack, leading a pack, it definitely does. He's going to struggle to find the pace to get up to the front, but with them holding out right now, we've got a 1-2 of Gonzalez and Rodriguez.
Rodriguez looking strong here right now, following Jordan Gonzalez and the number 3 machine here at the front of the pack through the tri-oval. You have Spectrum on the high side. You have Gavin Fitzgerald, Eric Kepf, RJ Williams all lined up on that high side right now.
We're watching to see. Hopefully we can get to look at what happened between RJ Williams and Phil Bedford in a minute here, because that was absolutely bizarre. I'm quite shocked that that even happened, because it looked like those two were keeping a steady line between the two of them. We saw RJ dipping down a little bit. We'll have to see if he came down in front of Phil Bedford and just knocked him to the inside or not. But weirdly enough, even after that wreck, RJ Williams is still holding on the outside. And oh, it just looks like he got a bad bump from Gonzalez and sent Bedford up the track into RJ Williams. That's what caused that incident. Typically, you'd see that happen and that would cause a wreck, but some great driving from Bedford and RJ Williams kept their cars straight. Even with Bedford going straight through the grass, he keeps it straight and keeps it going. We're still green.
Yeah, and Bedford he was able to keep it out of the inside wall. He's definitely, of course, lost the draft of the pack, but if he's able to get a caution, he's going to be right back in the mix of things. He does have damage, but we've seen these cars, a lot of these cars have pretty significant damage, and they're able to keep up with the pack. Look at Gavin Fitzgerald. He's leading the high side right now. He has a lot of damage on that number 24 machine.
Yeah, but watch out. I mentioned Henderson. He's close to getting clear of that outside lane. Like I said, that outside lane's struggling right now. With Gavin out there out front with the damage that he's got, he's not able to lead with the same kind of speed as somebody else would. So if that inside lane goes far enough forward to get Elliott clear, I guarantee you he will go to that outside lane and try and fight for the lead.
But for now, it's Gonzalez at the helm. The number 3 machine, Jordan Gonzalez for 25-11 Racing. Putting on a good race so far. Just over 10 laps to go, coming to 15 laps to go this time by here in the season opener. Do you think we get another caution, Alex? Do you think we maybe get another big accident before we're done here?
I mean, we almost had a big caution just before, but those drivers managed to hold on to it. So I imagine maybe they'll calm down just a little bit as we see Elliott Henderson, exactly as I thought, go to the outside with his teammate Ty Aiken behind him, also managing to get clear of that high lane. Now we're going to start to see some racing again. Well, I said they might try and be a little bit calm, but they're starting to race up there again, so we may see that caution.
Maybe setting themselves up for the finish right here. Here comes Henderson and Aiken. They have a phenomenal run on that high side, and they're going to try to jump down in front of Gonzalez, and they both do. They both get back in front of Gonzalez. And at this point, they maybe do what they had done before, and they try to control both lines and try to control the narrative of the finish here and have it be E95 Esports in victory lane here in the season opener.
The only problem now with that strategy is they're missing the numbers that they had before. Having one driver leading each lane is not enough to be secure. Only one guy in that second position behind your leader would have to make the move. So I think they're stuck trying to run one by one in a line to try and hold that lead. And especially with two 25-11 drivers behind looking a little bit antsy to get around them, we could see that lead crumble.
Looks like someone's dropping to pit road. It looks like Chris White dropping down to pit road in the number 61 machine. That's good for Hunter Brittle because Brittle was behind him. So now if the caution would to come out, Brittle would be your lucky dog. Here's the onboard look of Gavin Fitzgerald, who's currently leading the high side right now. He's 5th on the racetrack, 1st on the high side. Right behind him is Nathan Nicholson of the 51. And there you see him jump down to the inside lane. Like you said, Alex, I think Gavin definitely has speed still, but I don't think his car can necessarily handle leading the line right now.
Yeah, you could have seen it a little bit on that onboard cam. You could see through the front windshield some of the hood damage that he's got, but I think that's going to help the outside lane. I think it's beneficial for him rather than keep falling back on that outside or risk it putting 3 wide to just surrender that lane to drivers who have a more neat and tidy car to run it. And as we see immediately, the moment he went out of line, that outside lane starts going towards the front.
Yeah, you're seeing it right now on your screen. Nicholson has taken over the high side. He's bringing Jacob Manning and Daniel Nanny and Aaron Duclos with them. A lot of these drivers have hung out at the back most of the event. Manning's kind of been up at the front half of the race and been at the back the other half. And drivers like Nanny and Duclos have spent almost the whole race at the back of the pack up until around the end of the stage. And here they are up at the front on the high side. Nicholson getting that push from Manning. Do they get a run out of the corner and maybe take the lead as they're approaching 11 laps to go this time by in the season opener?
Yeah, remember Jacob Manning also involved in that wreck earlier in turns 3 and 4. He's back up here fighting for the lead with assistance to Nathan Nicholson. I mean, these drivers have been relentless all day. No matter what incident they've gotten into, they've been able to keep it going. I swear, I've seen so many wrecks that before this iRacing update would have completely ended most of these guys' races, but we still have a massive pack racing up here for the lead.
Everybody racing hard as they're coming to 10 laps to go. This is your chance to set yourself up for the finish right here. Get with your teammates or whoever you want to work with. Pick your dancing partner out and dance your way to the finish. And right now, Henderson and Aiken are appearing to do that right now in that bottom lane as they're still holding the lead tough down there.
The outside lane got a little bit disorganized just in front of Nanny. Looked like Manning went a little bit low, almost ran into Gonzalez. That scared Nanny a little bit, and he backed off. That outside lane's going to start losing out now because of it.
Outside lane falling back a little bit. They were already struggling, and now they're going to fall back just a little bit more after that incident. Heller is now the third driver on that high side. Christopher Heller with the number 11 machine. He's been up at the front for a good amount of this event. He's fallen back. He has that damage on the number 11 machine, has a good amount of hood and nose damage and a good amount of bumper damage on the number 11 machine.
But again, it just doesn't seem to make that much of a difference. As long as you're not the one leading the line, that damage just doesn't seem to affect you. As long as you've got the engine underneath you, you seem to be able to keep up with the pack, and for the most part, it seems to be a lot of these guys still got that engine underneath them.
Yeah, a lot of these guys can still get to moving. There's still a lot of cars out here without very much damage, if at all. And it looks like they're approaching a lap car here. Looks like the number 20 of Phil Bedford. Here they come around him, and another lap car right in front of him as well. Looks like Chris White. So this is going to get interesting right here for our race leaders, is they're going to have to do some three-wide racing here.
I think just in a second, Elliot Henderson and Ty Aiken might be left out to dry. There's a 4-car pack on the outside of them, only 2 to the bottom, as a lot of the guys that were behind him have just fallen off. Daniel Nanny managed to hook his way back on, but there's a big separation behind him from a lot of guys that were up there. Right now they're holding out, but I think they're going to lose out in a minute here.
Yeah, I looked back at it, Alex, and it looked like in 3 and 4 that Jordan Gonzalez had touched the apron and got a little loose, and everybody else slowed down behind him. But it looks like they're all gathering back up now as we're approaching 7 laps to go this time by. And it's just Henderson and Aiken down there right now. They're all by themselves. Here comes Henry now. Nicholson going to lead that lap with the help from Jacob Manning.
Yeah, it's weird to see that outside lane is just not able to make up that speed than the inside lane. And as we're on with only 7 laps to go, these guys are running out of time to make the moves. Tyken a little bit loose there on the bottom, but Tyken seems to just be a great pusher right now. He's giving a great shot to Elliot Henderson and keeping them out front when typically that outside lane would fly by them by this point in the run.
This is a great battle here at the end of this race. Approaching 6 laps to go here at Daytona. That back group of guys has gotten into a line. Can they get up here and challenge this front 8? Oh, and Aiken gets into the door of Nicholson. Looked like Aiken came up off the line pretty hard out of the tri-oval and got into the door of Nicholson, but Nicholson's able to continue on. Great job from him, able to concentrate and keep on fighting.
Yeah, I noticed Tyken was getting a little bit weavy behind Elliott there, was having some trouble keeping the car straight, but they managed to keep it going. But what that did was drag some of the guys behind them back up to them. We now see Gonzalez, Duclos, and Bransky all back up into the pack now, and a couple stragglers behind them looking to get back into this.
Henderson leading the field on the inside. 5 laps to go here in the season opener. Nicholson, that third lane's begin to start up. Here comes Daniel Nanny and Jacob Bransky on the in that third lane, the very high side. Here comes Daniel Nanny.
There's so few cars in this lead pack that third lane's starting to come in here late. But these guys have been racing super, super hard. Let's not forget, Elliot Henderson's pretty much been full throttle out front this entire time. Let's not forget, fuel was the question earlier before. So will they make it to the finish? Because if he runs out of fuel right at the line, that'd be a disaster for the field.
We'll have to see. These drivers are going to be very close on fuel. If we do get a caution, you'd have to imagine that everybody would have to come in and top off, because we would be in a green-white checkered situation at that point. Henderson leading the field that would have to be the number one driver I'd be worried about running out is Elliott Henderson, because he's spent almost this whole entire run at the front of the pack. So he's the one using the most gas. Aiken gives him a bump off the corner. They get sideways. Great job to keep it straight and keep up that speed.
Aiken giving fantastic shots to Elliott, but getting Elliott loose. They're going really, really hard. He has to watch it here. If he pumps him a little bit too hard and wrecks him, it's going to defeat everything they've worked for this entire race. That outside lane's going to have to watch out as well because they're getting really squirrely. Oh, Elliott almost got shot up into Nicholson.
3 laps to go. Henderson leading the bottom lane. Nicholson's falling back on the high side as Manning has fallen back in the number 1 and Daniel Nanny in the 45. And the inside line has complete control at the moment. Does someone jump up in front of Nicholson? Does that line of cars end up getting up there to make a move? Here comes Aiken. Aiken jumps to the high side, trying to get on the high side of his teammate. Nicholson's all over him. Manning and Nanny make contact. Nanny, a lot of contact. There goes Bransky into the wall. RJ Williams. And there goes Nanny, and the caution's out.
Oh, this is a disaster for all those drivers at the front. They're going to have to pit. There's no way they could make it to the end on fuel.
Yeah, everyone is going to have to come down pit road at this point and make some sort of pit stop. Wow, complete craziness. Coming to 2 laps to go. Another big accident, and Christopher Heller's car is destroyed. A lot of destroyed race cars after this one. I don't know if some of these cars can continue.
Yeah, that had to have taken out a good number of cars. That was some pretty hard contact for some of these drivers. As we're watching the replay, got in the mid-pack. It looked like it all was just an accordion, and then it finally ended with Nanny in the back making contact with Bransky, and that just led to pure chaos following them. Nanny missing the entire front end of the car. Bransky got nosed into the wall. Driver below him also got hit. I'm not sure who that was.
Let me take another look at it here. But yeah, it just really started when Aiken changed lanes. Nicholson got on the brakes, and everybody else wasn't really ready behind them. Nanny tried his best to save the car, but it's the end of the race. Everybody's just trying to get as many positions as they can. There was a lot of contact, and all these leaders are coming down pit road now. Looks like Manning Manning will come down. I was about to say he might stay out, it looks like, but nope, he changed his mind and came down pit road, and it looks like everyone's gonna come down pit road. Here's the onboard look from Eric Kep in the number 63. A great move from him, able to get underneath that accident right there. A lot of gas and goes. Who's going to get out first? It looks like first out of pit road is Zach Henry. Zach Henry gets out of pit road first. Then you got Aaron Duclos. Jacob Manning looks like he got out of pit road third. You got Elliott Henderson and Jordan Gonzalez. Your top 5 getting out of pit road. Just a quick gas and go, just enough to make it to the finish. And Zach Henry was able to do that and get out of pit road first. That could possibly be the winning move right there, Alex.
It very well could be. This track position is very important, but you do have to be aware, though, as the leader, you are suspect to getting put right on the quarter panel, side drafted and left out to dry here at the end of the race. The inside lane is safer, but it's slower. Duclos, if Zachary Henry picks the inside lane here for this restart, that'll put Duclos on the outside. He'll be in the catbird seat to take the lead coming to the white flag, but will he be able to hold it? And question is, who's going to be lining up behind him? Because we look, Jacob Manning's going to be lining up third and Elliott Henderson fourth. Now, we've seen Elliott Henderson be extremely aggressive, looking to get the lead. Whenever he's not in the lead, he's always trying to make a move to get into the lead. So I would worry about having him behind you because he may push you way out there and then just straight up pass you at the white flag. He will not work with you to the finish, I imagine, unless if you're a teammate.
So, let's see if the lights go out this time. They do. The lights go out on the pace car, and I expect the inside lane will be the choice for Zachary Henry because that would put his teammate Jacob Manning right in behind him on the inside lane, and that is what he decides. Duclos will now go to the high side, and you'll have Elliott Henderson right on his bumper. And really, this is anybody's race at this point. We've just seen the craziness unfold this last little bit. And you know how Daytona is, Alex. On that last lap, the leaders could wreck out. You could be in 14th, 15th place and still come out with the victory.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of things. I've experienced it myself. I've gone from the 8th position on the last lap to leading a race. All it needs is one wreck, turns 3 and 4, back straight, wherever, and it could easily make somebody win the race who probably had no shot of it before they entered that corner. So we never know what's going to happen, but one thing I'm excited for coming for this restart is look who's lining up behind Duclos on the outside. Elliott Henderson and Ty Aiken, the two drivers that were super aggressively pushing. I imagine if they can't get Duclos out of the way, they are going to take it to the third lane for sure. I do not imagine them just pushing Duclos to the victory. They are likely to make a massive move, and we will see 3 wide.
This is where the craziness will unfold. The first green-white checkered attempt. It's the first of a possible 3 attempts at the green-white checkered. Will we have to use them all up today? We will have to see as the pace car pulls down pit road. And Zach Henry is going to lead him to the green flag as it waves. And Manning gives him a shot coming to the line right there. Wow, what a shot from his teammate. Henry leads the field. Now he needs to play the field as best he can as we have 2 laps to go here in the season opener.
That was a bit of a messy push, though, because he hit him so hard he had to back off of him. They weren't connected. The outside lane is, though. Aaron Duclos locked bumper to bumper with Elliott Henderson. He'll be shot out to the lead, but will Elliott pull to the outside? Duclos is going to go low. Elliott takes it 3 wide. Ty Aiken up the middle lane. 3 wide for the lead. Here comes Barber-Gelada as well.
And possibly the dominant driver of the day, Elliott Henderson, is left all by himself on the high side. And here comes William Barber-Gelada. Second guy on the high side. We've hardly talked about him all day. Mr. Excitement. Can he put his moves on the field? They're coming to the white flag. Will they make it there? It looks like they will. The white flag is out and this race is now official.
There is some extremely hard pushing there on the outside. The bottom lane gets destroyed after a bit of a misstep from Zachary Henry behind. But they got it going again. They're once again pulling up. Can they get enough of a push to fight with that outside lane? Ty Aiken gets turned a little bit. Now Barber-Gelada, he tried to make the move but couldn't make it. 3 wide in the back with Eric Kepf.
Half a lap to go. Who gets the job done? Here comes Barber-Gelada to the inside. Aiken shuts the door and they're all going to wreck. Everyone is going to wreck. Barber-Gelada on the high side. He's still going. Here comes Matthew Rodriguez. Matthew Rodriguez, can he get there? Or will William Barber-Gelada get the win? Here comes William Barber-Gelada. My pick. William Barber-Gelada gets the job done. Mr. Excitement. You can never count out Mr. Excitement. Oh my goodness. No bumper on the car. It comes across the line in first place. Oh my goodness.
Barber-Gelada, no rear bumper on the race car. I thought he was done with Rodriguez behind, but it seems like Rodriguez had some engine damage. He just could not keep up at the finish. Our winner of the Great Lakes Premier Series season opener here at Daytona is Mr. Excitement, William Barber-Gelada. Excitement seems to follow him wherever he goes, and that came true once again tonight.
And I was looking at that, and he got saved by the wall pretty much. Barber-Gelada, he was spinning twice, and both times his quarter panels slammed against the wall and put him back straight, and he's able to come home with the victory. And Matthew Rodriguez giving him his congratulations, pulling up alongside. I know Rodriguez is very happy with his second place, and Nicholson able to come home third. And Hunter Brittle, how about Hunter Brittle? He was a lap down a couple laps ago. He finished 5th. Oh my gosh. That was just crazy. And now we're going to watch William Barber-Gelada, Mr. Excitement, burn it down. Oh, man. That got to feel good. Hopefully that interstate battery is working to perfection for him.
It's exactly as you said, Kyle. Somebody from the back of the field could win this race. And while that wasn't exactly the driver, that's what we saw for every position behind him. Other than Nathan Nicholson, we've got Rodriguez finishing second. Richard Tucker, after his night, ends up finishing fourth. Hunter Brittle from a lap down, just one caution prior to finishing fifth. And then after that is all the drivers whose days ended right there in turns 3 and 4.
I think we're going to look at the onboard look of our winner, William Barbagelata. We're going to see what he saw in 3 and 4. You're going to see what had happened here. And William Barbagelata makes a phenomenal move to the inside. Aiken tries to throw the block, but Barbagelata's there. He's trying to win this race. He gets saved by the outside wall, not once, but twice. And he keeps on going straight and just mashes that gas. And you see Rodriguez behind him, and he knows that he is clear of the finish. No bumper is needed to go to victory lane, and he's still burning it down here at the start-finish line, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal victory there from Barbagelata, who just had struggles earlier in the day, found himself in the right spot at the right time at the end of the race, literally used the wall to keep himself straight, and ends up winning this race with a damaged car pursuing.
We're going to look at Matthew Rodriguez's view here. We're going to see what he saw. Going to look at the Cookie Monster view right here, the Cookie Monster cam. And we're going to see him get through this accident and just kind of just push through there like a plow. And he has it. He thinks he has it. But then here comes Barbagelata on the high side. And he just sees that wind just slowly creeping away. But second place ain't too bad for the events that have happened to him today. Rodriguez able to get his career best Great Lakes finish here tonight with that second place. We're going to take one more look at it here. Race winning move and save from Barbagelata. He's waiting for that opening in front of Duclos and just jumps right in front of Duclos. And Aiken tried to throw the block and just wasn't able to. A lot of destroyed cars. I think I just saw Jacob Manning spinning like a top in the air for that one. That was a pretty nasty accident from a lot of these drivers, and took out the whole field really, except for Barbagelata and Rodriguez, who were able to get that 1-2 right there.
Yeah, when I was looking at that finish, I thought that Barbagelata was done. He was so slow up on the high side. He got tagged multiple times there at the end of that wreck. I mean, look at that. He tail-ended the wall. Then he tail-ended the wall again and still kept going and still managed to win this race. I mean, that's just a phenomenal finish there after pretty much getting into the biggest wreck you could get into at the end of these Daytona finishes. Yeah, and as we're hearing, it seems as though quite literally every single car in the racetrack, excluding Jacob Bransky, was involved in that incident. He was the only one not up there in the pack. Every other driver, almost setting a new record, was involved in this accident. I mean, absolutely unbelievable stuff here at the end of this 250-miler here at Daytona.
You just randomly picked to cut through the grass in turns 3 and 4. Well, you're in luck because you would have won this race. And we're gonna try to maybe get to some interviews. I'm thinking here. I don't know who we're gonna start off with. Alex, I think you might be down with one of our finishers right down there.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be looking to get in our third place finisher here tonight. Missed out on it here at the end, but we're pulling in Nathan Nicholson. Nathan Nicholson, you was that close, man. You were there right at the front of the field late in the race. Sadly missed out on the position right at the very end. Got involved in the incident, but still came away with a top 3 finish. How are you feeling?
Glad to be away from Daytona. I despise this track. I am not a super speedway guy at all. I find them very boring and always crapshoots.
I mean, you were very strong for most of the day. Definitely one of the drivers we were talking about racing at the front of the field. It seems like any time we mentioned you, you were always up there either racing for the lead or 1 or 2 positions away from being in the lead. I mean, what did you do out there to be able to stay at the front of the field for that long?
You just work the side draft, the outside line. You get a better run because you're coming down the hill. There's like a little slope that goes down onto the backstretch. So if you side draft enough to keep the momentum up and move up a bit to slide down, you can stay right with the leaders, even if you're by yourself. If you wanted to, you could do it if you do it right. I've just learned over past year I've been on iRacing that just use side draft unless it's in the cup car, because side draft in that car sucks.
Well, one thing I'm interested in asking you, tonight we talked a lot about team collaboration, and as far as I'm aware, you're not a part of one of those massive groups tonight. I didn't really see you in any one of the big group voice channels. Was there anybody you were specifically working with tonight, and how much was that teamwork helping you if you were?
I was working with Brittle, me and him. I'm on the truck team that he's a part of. So I said, you know what, why don't we just work together, even though we're not really on a team in this, and we try to do the same pit strategy, except for him. He kind of got a black flag for missing that one green flag stop because I called it late. And he got his lap back, and he was chugging along, trying to come up behind me, but I guess he didn't have that much to come up at the very end to get right behind me. I was going to try to make it 3, but I'm kind of glad I didn't. No, that's who I was working with the whole race, was just Brittle. It was just me and him up and hanging out.
Yeah, and phenomenally, even after your teammate there, Brittle, being a lap down, he ended up with a 5th place finish. So the two of you ended up getting top 5 finishes here at Daytona. Is there anybody you got to thank for that tonight?
Myself, for not getting destroyed completely like I thought I was early on. I can thank Chris for putting this on. I can thank for us leaving Daytona and going to a better track next week, because I still despise Daytona. Elliot, for being on his Road to Pro crew. Elliot had a pretty good week this week, winning the truck race and winning his Road to Pro split yesterday. And all those guys. Elliot, I thought he was going to sweep it this week with the trucks Road to Pro in this race. I thought he was going to get a Daytona sweep. That's kind of what I was hoping for, because I know his birthday's coming up soon, and that'd probably mean a lot to him. I give thanks for y'all, doing the broadcast and everything. Hopefully we got you some good hard racing up there. I was trying my best not to destroy the field, but race as hard as I could. So I hope I got some good footage for y'all.
Yeah, it was definitely an exciting one to watch tonight. I had my eyes open almost the entire time. So congratulations to you for the 3rd place finish, and thank you guys for putting on a great race for us today.
Yeah, no problem, man.
All right, and now let's go over to our shock finish here tonight. Matthew Rodriguez. Hello, welcome to the booth, Matthew. 2nd place finish after what was calamity earlier in the race. Tell us how you're feeling.
I'm feeling a little bit dumb and a little bit proud, because I feel a little bit dumb because I just went into like a bowling pen and took everyone out on pit road, but I feel a little bit smart because I lifted into the 3 waiting for that wreck to kind of angle myself off of it, and it worked. Just not well enough.
Yeah, I figure you probably knew a question about this was coming, but what exactly happened there on pit road? What occurred that caused that incident in the first place?
So I typically, on my Fridays, I typically deal with a worse league that they have a little bit of difficulties entering pit road, especially on super speedways. So I'm used to pushing my entries a little bit harder so I can get ahead of everyone. Forgot that Great Lakes is actually a good league, and ended up overrunning at about 140 when I should have been about 80. And I locked up the brakes, and I took out, I can't remember who I took out, 12 Zach Henry. And I feel bad because at the moment I hit him, like, oh, I think he can just kind of buff out. And I hit him again, and I turned around, and I was like, oh, what a disaster.
All right, and one thing that was mentioned a lot tonight was how damage was affecting the cars. It didn't seem to knock people off the draft that much. Now, I'm curious, after that incident, what kind of damage did you have, and how did you feel that was affecting you?
About 50 seconds of optional. Really, it affected the single car runs. When I was in the draft with everyone checking up, it was good enough where you could kind of keep up with the pay or keep up with the field. But anything past that, it was pretty trash. I got down to about 8 seconds of optional, and that got me to the end of the race. And realistically, fuel was the biggest decider in this. If we would have got green, we would have seen almost everyone run out of fuel.
That was definitely a question that I was thinking of tonight is, do these guys have fuel? How, if you wouldn't mind telling us, how close was that fuel?
Empty. I would have been empty. I would have ran out of 3. That's it. I would not have made it. Gavin was, I think, 1-2 laps short. But in my defense, I realized way too late it was a fuel mileage race, and I went into disaster mode. Gavin didn't realize it till after I realized, and that sank him.
So it seems to be that we would have had a chaotic finish either way tonight, but you came out with a second place finish. Do you have people to thank other than us, considering you own us?
I mean, that's one way of putting it. Obviously, got to thank FRN for everything that you guys do. Steak and Shake for, again, paying me and allowing me to do this and carry their branding on their cars. Thompson Cat, Sky Motorsports. Trying to think. I'm looking throughout the car, seeing who else I need to thank. All of Gavin Fitzgerald and Co. because he was nice enough to let me in on his team communications because I have no teammates tonight. So he basically gave me a group that I ended up crashing into. So I'm very thankful, but very apologetic. Other than that, that's all I got.
All right, well, congratulations, man, on the second place finish. Go get yourself some money and you one-off start here, and we'll see you next time.
I'll see you after the broadcast.
Yeah, we'll see you too, Matt. All right, thank you. All right, and of course, how can we forget to talk about our winner here tonight? Wins the race after getting it. Oh, it looks like we just lost him. Barbagelata just been lost from the booth at the moment, but our winner was William Barbagelata. Hopefully we could get in contact with him in just a minute. Hello, Barbagelata, welcome back to the booth. Glad to talk to you tonight. Congratulations on the victory. Tell us how you're feeling.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good because I totally did not expect that with how the race went. Because I mean, I was in the back most of the last half of the race, and what was really going on there, not expecting a caution. We were really close on fuel, so I didn't think some of the leaders were going to make it. I was saving the whole time, thinking it was just going to be a mad dash with people running out on the last lap and just hectic. But that caution changed everything. I got some track position and everything went my way on the last lap.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching that finish there. You did not look like you were going to win that race. You got tail whipped into the wall 2 separate times, but that incident was so massive that it involved the entire field. There was almost nobody to pursue you other than Rodriguez, who we believe had engine damage following that wreck. So what moment for you did you realize that you were about to win this race?
Yeah, well, I made the move to the inside, and then tie blocked, which I mean, it's kind of desperation, but you block in that situation, and it didn't work out for either of us. And so once I'm going up towards the wall and we're all wrecking, I think it's over for me. I'm just, I don't know, who knows if I'm gonna end up finishing, but I kept it straight the first time, and I saw everyone piling in behind me. No one shot through, and then I knew Ty came back up and slid the second time, so I started to think I had a chance. He hit me. I thought I was going to definitely lose it there, lose momentum, but still no one else really drove through. So yeah, Rodriguez was on the bottom, but he was slower, and I kept it straight. So I guess after that second time, but I really never thought I had it. It didn't hit me till after that second contact when I had no one in front of me and no one coming up behind me.
I mean, what is that feeling like, if you don't mind telling us?
I mean, it's been a while since I've won a race in this league, so I mean, it's a great feeling. Once you, especially at a super speed race like this, you realize that you won and no one else is gonna have a chance to get to you. It's a great feeling.
Great feelings all around for a victor of a race. one of the most chaotic finishes I think I've ever seen at Daytona. Definitely the biggest wreck I've ever seen here at Daytona. But you came out victorious. Well, who do you have to thank for it tonight? Sponsors, friends, family, who is it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to thank my teammates. We definitely were working together all night. I didn't have any help from them. Definitely you guys for putting this on. Fun league we got here with these guys. Definitely kept it clean for most of the night. So just a fun race all around.
All right, congratulations on the win there, Barbagelata. You guys put on a show for us tonight. I was glad to watch it. So once again, congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our race here at the FRN 250 here at Daytona for the Great Lakes Premier Series. Kyle, what'd you think about that race? Because I've already said everything I'd love to say about this.
A lot of back and forth throughout most of the day. We saw dominations from each one of the major teams. We saw Spectrum up there. We saw E95 Esports up there. We saw 2511 up there. And Barbagelata ended up coming home with the victory. Congratulations to him. I'm going to go through the running order right here. Royce winner right there. You see it on the top of the board. William Barbagelata gets the job done. Matthew Rodriguez able to come home second. Nathan Nicholson. Great job from Richard Tucker. Able to get that top 5. We mentioned a couple of times with Hunter Brittle. Hunter Brittle was a lap down just a few laps before. Ended up coming home with the top 5. Jake Miller in 6th. Williams in 7th. Heller, Kep, and Henry round out your top 10. Then we're going to put some notables on the screen. We got Fitzgerald in 11th. Barkuski's in 12th. Aiken was up at the front most of the day in 13th. Henderson back in 16th after leading most of the day. Jacob Manning, after that nasty accident, finishes 19th. And Bedford rounds out your top 20. And then the last 3 finishers you had were Chris White, Nick Martin, and Cole Bradley out there. What a race, Alex. Just what a phenomenal race to start off the season. 250 miles, and Barbagelata ended up the victor coming out of the last corner. And now we look forward to next week as we go to Phoenix International. Alex, that's a great racetrack there, Phoenix. A speedway, but it has that short track sort of feel.
Yeah, it's going to be almost an endurance race for these guys. 200 laps around there. That's a race that's going to be a lot about how consistent can you be. It's a real tough racetrack. It really puts a lot of wear on the tires, and typically we get some pretty long runs once we get after the 15, 20 lap mark. So we'll be seeing some pit strategies coming in, I believe.
A lot of different strategies there. After Phoenix, of course, looking at our schedule, we head to Atlanta, we got Nashville, then we head to our first road course at Mid-Ohio, and then we have Darlington. Going on to the rest of the season, we just have a strong schedule this season for the Great Lakes Premier Series. William Barbagelata was able to knock off the first race with the victory here at Daytona. Any last thoughts right here before I wrap it up, Alex?
I've already said everything I had to say about this race. It was phenomenal, and I'm looking forward to it next week.
Next week, like I said, we head to Phoenix. So we'll see you then for the Great Lakes Premier Series, or also tune in on Tuesday for the Great Lakes Truck Series here on the Flatout Racing Network. I would like to once again congratulate William Barbagelata, a.k.a. Mr. Excitement, the driver of the number 27 Interstate Batteries machine, able to get the job done here tonight and get through that last wreck. And like I said, we'll be seeing y'all next week for either the Truck Series or the Premier Series here on FRN. Same place, same time. Good night, everybody. And once again, congratulations to William Barbagelata on his victory.